If you are a managing partner or a managing director, or you're running deals and sitting on capital, and you keep hearing that Claude can do more than just draft an email, but nobody has shown you what that looks like for your job, this is that video. I'm going to walk you through 5 Claude skills, one for each stage of the deal that you are going through today. Finding the target, reviewing the CIM, reading the term sheet, running the first 100 days after close, and reading your own deal history for a pattern that you're probably not seeing. Every one of these 5 skills is linked below. Real install prompts that are not just concepts. You paste one of these prompts into Claude, and it will build you these skills within minutes. And it's your skill to run for every deal in the future. No need to re-explain yourself every single time. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what each skill does and exactly where to drop it in your process this week. A little background on myself. I spent 14 years at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory as a systems engineer on Mars missions. After that, I built a digital advertising agency, which I later exited. And today I build AI systems for a living, for over 35 executives in private equity and venture capital firms, which is where these 5 skills come from. So let's get into it. Skill number 1 is sourcing. In summary, you can give this skill a platform company and an acquisition criteria, and it goes and finds you a ranked list of companies that fit. It's built to activate on something as simple as find acquisition targets or source add-ons. From there, you can hand it context. Say you're running a platform in industrial services and you want candidates in a region that your team has never sourced before. You tell it your platform, your criteria, your sector, size, geography, and whatever matters to your thesis. It searches online, builds the list, ranks each name against your criteria, and drafts a first contact hook for each one, and writes the whole thing to a report that your team can work from on the same day. A buy-side sourcing firm charges 1 to 3% of deal value to do this exact research. This does the first pass of it in just one afternoon. Now here's the mistake that most people make. They treat the list as final, but they shouldn't. Every revenue figure on that list is a public estimate and not verified data. So your team still confirms ownership and financials before anyone picks up the phone. Think of it as a long list that your associate would have spent 2 weeks building, not the diligence itself. If you want to try this, take your last closed platform, write your actual buy box in one paragraph, and run it this week. Skill number 2 is the deal analyzer. And this is the one that I get asked about the most. Drop in a CIM, a teaser, or a deck, and it screens the deal the way an institutional underwriter would, adversarially, as an adversary and not as a cheerleader for the other side. It spends most of its attention on the numbers, checks whether the story in the deck actually matches those numbers, and flags what's missing before your team spends a diligence budget finding it themselves. I actually built this for a managing partner that I coach. His problem was that he didn't trust his analyst first pass alone because a missed red flag burned the firm once before. So he was rereading every write-up himself. We sat down and he dictated his own screening criteria out loud: founder commitment, margin profile, customer concentration. We built that into a second pass screen and ran it against a completed analyst write-up. It flagged the exact issues that he was trained to catch on the first run without him opening up the document itself. He still runs every deal through that second pass before it reaches the investment committee. The mistake here is skipping this step on deals that look clean. Clean looking CIMs are exactly where sellers hide the add backs because nobody expects to scrutinize a pretty document. Run your next inbound teaser through it before your first call with the seller and not after. Before we move on, one quick thing. If you're wondering how each of these 5 skills actually applies to your firm, continue watching, because skill 5 is the one I've never seen any firm build on its own. And it's usually where the most overlooked value in a firm's own history is sitting. If you're a managing partner or an operating partner and you're not sure where AI actually fits into how your firm runs deals, schedule a time with me on the link below, and I'll look at how your team currently handles sourcing, screening, and portfolio operations, and tell you exactly where a skill like this saves your firm hours and where it would not move the needle at all. Skill number 3, the term sheet analyzer. Skill 3 catches what gets lost between the handshake and the signature, the term sheet. You paste in the term sheet or the LOI and ask it directly, is this market? It reads the document line by line against current, lower middle market, and middle market norms, and hand your deal team a list of exactly where this favors the seller and where to push before anyone signs. You build this once with your firm's own standards in it, and every term sheet after that runs through the same read. No re-explaining what your firm considers off-market every single time a new one lands on your desk. A term sheet gets negotiated fast, under deal momentum, and indemnity cap that reads on the first pass because everyone wants to keep moving is the exact clause that decides whether you can collect on a breach 18 months later. The mistake is treating the term sheet as a formality on the way to real negotiation, and it isn't. The leverage loss on price gets clawed back or lost for good right there in fine print. For the next term sheet that your team gets, run it before you send your markup back. If you are a managing partner or an operating partner and you're not sure where AI actually fits into how your firm runs deals, book a call with me in the link below. I'll look how your team currently handles sourcing, screening, and portfolio operations, and tell you where a skill like this can save you hours and where it would not move the needle at all. Skill number 4, operating partner. Skill 4 picks up from the day the deal actually closes. Firms like Blackstone and KKR staff a full-time operating group for exactly this moment. Most lower mid-market firms don't have that headcount, so the first 100 days drift. Instead of getting run with discipline, you drop in the platform company's profile, sector, size, current management, and known pain points, and ask for a 100-day plan. Same idea as a term sheet skill. You set it up once with how your firm actually runs the first 100 days, and it applies that same discipline to the next platform close and the one after that without you having to rebuild the plan each time from scratch. It comes back with a leadership call, the communication plan, and the roadmap in that order, because the leadership call is the one that actually decides whether the rest of the plan works. Silence in week 1 is what bleeds attrition and rumor on a newly closed platform, and this forces that decision before the tactical plan even starts. The mistake is writing a wish list instead of a plan. The team will look for procurement is not an action. The CFO renegotiates the top 5 supplier contracts by day 60 is. On your next platform close, run this before the next management meeting, not after. Skill number 5, the deal history analyzer. This is the last one, and this is the skill that I think delivers the most value, that firms never go looking for. It reads your firm's own history of past deals and finds a pattern of what actually worked and what's consistently disappointed. This is not an industry framework and not a benchmark from a consulting deck. It's your own track record scored against your own value creation levers. A firm I work with was negotiating the same terms deal after deal, purely from memory and a manual search through old files, because no one had the time to reread years of past agreements before every negotiation. We had Claude read through their past deal documents and synthesize it into one living cheat sheet. Deal sizes, rate ranges, covenant floors, and the exact terms that flagged trouble in a previous deal. That cheat sheet is their standing base case, walking into every negotiation now. My client's partners told me it's the most useful thing that we've ever built. The mistake is assuming you already know your own pattern from memory. Partners remember the loudest wins and losses, not the quiet, repeated patterns, sitting across the 15 smaller deals in between. Pull your last 10 deal memos, however messy they are, a table, a PDF, plain notes, and run them through this skill once a quarter. Every skill I just walked through, sourcing, the deal analyzer, the term sheet analyzer, the operating partner, and the deal history analyzer, is linked below, ready to install. Paste these skills into Claude, and you have the exact skill running in just a few minutes. No rebuilding anything from scratch. Just copy the prompt and go. So that's the 5 skills: sourcing, reviewing the CIM, the term sheet, the first 100 days, and the pattern sitting in your own deal history. None of these replace your team's judgment. They speed up the first pass. The part that costs the same hours today, it cost last year. So your team spends its time on decision instead of the busy work underneath it. All 5 install prompts are linked below. Pick the stage where you're feeling the most friction right now. Start with one skill and see what it finds.